giants fight, blood, sweat, and primal survivals. The dry season on the Savanna. The lush greenery has faded away, and the heat is truly turning up the pressure. This pushes these warriors into a state of constant readiness for any confrontation. And they hold a long list of those who lost their way upon entering their territory. In the wild, the lion might be king, but the African buffalo is the one who calls the shots when it comes to raw intimidation. They are one of the big five. When these two mature males decide to settle their differences, it is far more than a simple disagreement. It is a display of applied physics at the most intense level nature has ever established. The impact force generated is equivalent to a small car hitting a wall head-on at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. Nature, depending on age, has equipped them with a sophisticated defensive weapon: the boss. This is the most unique feature of a mature African buffalo. The base of their horns does not grow separately. Instead, it expands and fuses right in the middle of the forehead, forming a continuous bony shield. It functions like a heavy-duty military helmet, absorbing and dispersing the impact to protect the sensitive brain within. The bone density in this shield is many times higher than regular bone, allowing them to endure high-pressure headbutts without suffering internal harm. Yet, on the Savanna, there are no rescue services or antibiotics. Flies swarm around the openings caused by the horns, and in just a few days, infection will begin its quiet toll within the giant's body. But that is the harsh beauty of evolution. Only the strongest, those with the most perfect bone structure and unwavering will, are permitted to carry on the bloodline. One small error in judgment, one moment of hesitation, and the dark end will be their destiny. But you know what? This is only the beginning of a series of confrontations. On the other side of the grasslands, where the rivers flow slowly and the swamps hide prehistoric shadows, a different kind of power awaits. Along Africa's lazy rivers, there exists one of nature's greatest deceptions. The yawns of the hippopotamus. Those jaws can expand to a 180-degree angle. They appear so sluggish, heavy-set, and clumsy. The hippopotamus is the world's most confrontational mammal. Beneath those waters lie tons of muscle and a temper always on the verge of erupting. Unlike typical herbivores that have flat teeth for grinding leaves, the hippopotamus possesses lower canines that can reach 60 centimeters in length. Even more remarkably, thanks to a self-sharpening mechanism when opening and closing the mouth, the upper and lower canines rub against each other, keeping them as sharp as a razor for a lifetime. And naturally, they do not use these tools to graze on grass. Their lips handle the task of plucking the greenery, while these canines are reserved for one single purpose: piercing through opponents. In the world of the hippopotamus, there is no room for leniency. The injuries have become infected, and the young bull's time is running out. Cruel? Perhaps so. But that is how nature manages population density and ensures that only the strongest can occupy the prime spots in the marsh. The territorial nature of the hippopotamus is extreme to the point of madness. This is the water bug, a large antelope with a water-resistant coat. True to its name, the water buck always stays near water sources. They are skilled swimmers and often plunge into the water to escape those looking for a meal. Once a year, the Dark Continent bears witness to one of the most magnificent journeys on the planet, the Great Migration. $1,500,000 blue wildebeest. Joining them are approximately 300,000 zebra and 400,000 gazelle. But compared to the somewhat small and overlooked gazelle, you will notice a curious alliance between the zebra and the wildebeest. They are not the same species, yet they share a common goal, making it through just one more day. This is a multi-layered security system where each species contributes a specialized survival skill. Wildebeest possess sharp hearing and a sense of smell that can detect a foe from a distance the naked eye simply cannot see. In particular, wildebeest have the ability to sense seismic vibrations from water sources or the footsteps of a predator far away. But their necks, thick and short, cannot help the wildebeest look beyond the tall grass, especially when their view is blocked by their peers. At this point, the zebra, a giant weighing 400 kilograms, the largest in this pilgrimage, comes into play. Their eyes are designed to scan a panoramic view of up to 350 degrees, leaving only a single small blind spot directly behind them. Because in the mathematics of survival, once the hunter has a meal on the table, everyone else is in the clear. Rescuing another individual is a poor investment. This indifference is actually a pragmatic survival strategy. In the Great Migration, kindness is a luxury item that no one can afford to buy. It is truly a case of every man for himself. By now, you likely no longer see zebras as gentle souls. But they are not just indifferent, they can also be quite assertive. The extreme pressure of a 1,000-mile trek, hunger and constant threats turn zebras into grumpy characters. In the chaos of millions of individuals, they do not hesitate to lash out at anything they perceive as an obstacle. Even young hartebeest calves, despite having sharp senses or a 1,000-pound kick, the zebra still knows its place in the food chain. Because when darkness falls, these savanna sentinels must face their greatest fear. There in the thickets, an elite army of hunters is on the lookout, waiting for the slightest mistake. But this time, the focus of the hunters is not the black and white stripes. They are setting their sights on a grumpy loner, a dark presence of finality holding its ground alone amidst a surrounding circle. Africa's most classic confrontation. In the natural world, there is always strength in numbers. When gathered into a herd, the African buffalo transforms into a dark presence of finality, an immovable, mobile fortress. With an average weight reaching 900 kilograms for every mature male, the entire group resembles a brigade of armored tanks sweeping across the savanna. Not a single predator, not even a lion, is bold enough to throw caution to the wind and rush into the center of that intense formation. However, the confidence of the dark end often comes with a very grumpy personality. At just the smallest hint of a boundary being crossed, this entire dark mass can shift from a state of quiet to an unyielding sweep. This is a game of psychology and power. The one who dominates the space is the one who calls the shots for survival. But what happens when a crack appears in that steel, when an individual becomes isolated from the protection of the herd? A mature African buffalo is 5 times as heavy as a lioness. This is an uneven match. A direct strike from this dark giant is enough to bring the reign of any lion to an immediate close. He holds fast to the prize until the final moment, challenging an entire massive brigade. Field observations indicate that male lions tend to exhibit higher personal intensity when facing a Cape buffalo compared to an antelope. This event is a rigorous psychological training session. A king is not born. They are forged in fire through uneven confrontations. The struggle between the lion and the Cape buffalo is an eternal loop of settling scores and survival. But even when the buffalo herd has triumphed over its age-old rival, they must still face another reality. There is always a larger giant standing at the peak of the pyramid of strength. One who does not need a herd to apply pressure. One whose mere presence is enough to make the ground shake. Welcome to the true titan, the African elephant. They are biological crushing machines weighing up to 6,000 kilograms that no predator would be sensible enough to challenge. A mature African elephant has no natural foes. And if that isn't enough of a deterrent, look down at the feet. A precise step can create pressure equivalent to an armored truck rolling over you. That is absolute power, an undisputed dominance built upon tons of muscle and a superior intellect. A tank weighing 1,400 kilograms, encased in skin as thick as steel armor, and possessing a horn that can pierce any obstacle. But practically in the dark. Rhinoceros. Nature granted them absolute strength, but forgot to provide a sharp visual filter. A rhino cannot clearly see any object at a distance beyond 30 meters. In their eyes, the world is merely a blur of colors and dancing shadows. And this is where the precarious nature of things begins. When you cannot see your opponent clearly, the only solution is engage everything that moves. From a dry tree stump or an innocent rock to a local vehicle that has happened to stray into their sights. For a rhinoceros, there is no such thing as a mistake, only the concept of clearing the path. Upon detecting an unfamiliar scent or an unusual sound, their nervous system immediately enters a state of high alert. The rhino chooses to charge straight toward the potential threat to discourage it before it can act. And if you thought daily life was demanding enough, look at their season of affection. In this realm, affection does not involve roses or romantic whispers. It is a true struggle for existence. The martial eagle is Africa's largest bird of prey. Do not let that elegant appearance pull the wool over your eyes. With a wingspan reaching 2.6 meters, it is no different from a stealth bomber scanning every movement below. On the Savanna, power is often measured by weight, but this fellow is a proud exception. Although it only weighs about 6.5 kilograms, the martial eagle possesses a muscular structure finely tuned for its tasks. It does not just seek out field mice or small snakes, a newborn gazelle. It descends at a velocity that can exceed 100 kilometers per hour. The kinetic energy generated from that dive is funneled entirely into 2 feet equipped with razor-sharp talons. The highlight of this hunt is the decisive strike to the spine or neck of the prize, quieting the nervous system instantly before the subject even realizes what is happening. The dominance here does not come from size, but from the skill of striking out of the blue. A severe elegance that nature spent millions of years refining. But victory sometimes comes with a final snare. After a perfect landing, the martial eagle faces a difficult dilemma. The prize is too heavy to carry aloft immediately. While you are focused on your success, eyes designed to see for miles suddenly become ineffective against ambushes waiting close by. Get acquainted with the greatest concern of the god of war, the leopard. If the eagle is the king of the day, then the leopard is the phantom of the shadows. The leopard is a master of climbing and ambushing, possessing a level of patience that even a rock python would respect. This is a bitter irony of nature. The one who just overcame an antelope 4 times its own weight is now overcome by a silent climber. The passing of an individual is always the beginning of a feast for another. When the gods of war fall, the cleanup crew arrives. But do not think these fellows are merely timid freeloaders. There is a bird with the face of a demon possessing a beak that can strip the toughest hide from an African elephant and an intensity that can make even a hyena back down. At the feast of the final hour, there is always one individual who never knows the concept of waiting in line. Welcome to the presence of the lappet-faced vulture, the godfather of those who handle the remains on the Savanna. Do not let the title of Scavenger make you think it is a timid creature. With a wingspan nearly 3 meters wide, equivalent to the width of a small bus, this is the largest and most assertive bird on the dark continent. It does not just arrive to feed, it arrives to call the shots. Why must the others make way? Because that beak is exceptionally hard, deep, and sharp, like a pair of heavy-duty pruning shears. In the world of those who process the remains, nature often packages sustenance within the armored hides of the African elephant, Cape buffalo, or rhinoceros. Without this pathfinder, smaller vulture species might face a shortage of nourishment right beside a massive feast because they cannot pierce the hide. The lappet-faced vulture is truly the can opener of the grasslands. It is the only one with enough strength to rip open the armored skin that is centimeters thick. However, this godfather does not do so out of charity. It will claim the prime spot, consume the choice cuts, and leave the remains for the subordinates. It relies on its 9-kilogram size to throw its weight around. This is a strange symbiotic relationship. The smaller species need its beak, while it needs that small crowd to locate the prize first. A purely pragmatic case of mutual gain. Are you curious about the name lappet-faced? When this bird becomes agitated or prepares to enter a struggle for a piece of the meal, blood is rushed urgently to the facial area. These skin folds will shift from a light pink to a brilliant fiery red. According to the latest physiological studies from the year 2025, this color transformation helps the bird regulate its body temperature during high-intensity activity. This is an effective display of authority. It does not need to strike. The red of its agitation has already handled 90% of the work of a blow. The king of the remains may rule on land through intimidation and noise. But when the boundary between the ground and the water is blurred, all exhibitions of power become meaningless. There, beside the seemingly peaceful bathing spots, another type of elite hunter is patiently waiting. One who does not need the red of agitation to intimidate, because by the time you see it, it is already too late. Beneath the muddy waters of the Mara River, a prehistoric phantom has waited for 200 million years to perform its strike. Welcome to the realm of the Nile Crocodile, the largest, most formidable, and most refined reptile that evolution has ever produced. This is not an overblown lizard. This is an armored tactical machine, weighing up to 1 ton and stretching over 6 meters. In this place, patience is not a virtue, It is a superior weapon. One small error, one moment of letting your guard down, and the aerial hunter will become an underwater dessert faster than a single breath. The Nile crocodile possesses the strongest biting force in the modern animal kingdom. With pressure peaking at 34,473 kilopascals, it is equivalent to an armored truck pressing down on a single point. To give you a clearer picture, this force is 5 times stronger than a lion's and 30 times more powerful than your own. Once these jaws have locked shut, the outside world essentially reaches its conclusion for the subject. There is no opportunity for retreat, no room for negotiation. Its conical teeth are not meant for chewing. They are designed to anchor firmly and tear through. According to the latest biological data from the year 2026, the skull of the Nile crocodile has a mineral density so high that it can withstand the reactionary force of its own strike without fracturing. It is a living hydraulic press, encased in a layer of calcified scales harder than carbon steel. The secret to the perfect pursuit lies in concealment. The Nile crocodile is a grandmaster of the art of blending in. Thanks to a dark green skin tone that merges perfectly with the mud, it turns itself into a piece of drifting, rotted wood. But beneath that calm surface is a sophisticated radar system. The bumps along its jaw are sensory organs, allowing it to feel microscopic vibrations from the footsteps of an antelope dozens of meters away. When the crocodile enters striking range, it transforms into a massive muscular spring. Utilizing its powerful tail like a jet engine, it can propel its entire half-ton body out of the water in just 1/4 of a second. This speed is so high that the brain of the subject cannot even process the visual signal before the steel jaws have locked onto its neck. For short bursts, it can reach a velocity of 35 kilometers per hour, enough to catch any creature lingering near the water's edge off guard. But all those skills are merely a prelude to the final chapter of survival, the Great Migration. At this fast-flowing stretch of the Mara River, nature's Game of Thrones reaches its most intense level. Millions of wildebeest and zebra must cross these waters if they wish to reach the lush green fields on the other side. They know the final rest awaits beneath the murky water, yet hunger is even more daunting. The Mara River is not just a geographic barrier. It is a funnel leading subjects directly into the mouths of giant hunters. Here, the Nile crocodile reaches record sizes thanks to the abundant annual nourishment. This is no longer a refined pursuit, it is a collective ending. When the herds of antelope and zebra plunge down like a flood, the massive crocodiles dive into the center of the chaotic crowd. Witnessing this classic spin of the end, you will understand why the crocodile has outlasted even the dinosaurs. For the zebra herd, this is a painful loss. But for the river, this is the continuation of the flow of energy. On the Savanna, there are no villains or heroes. There are only links of life joined by life force and its conclusion. The Nile crocodile is the gatekeeper of the rivers, a reminder that nature always maintains a harsh yet fair order for itself. Those who make it through today will carry painful lessons so that next year, when the call of the grassland echoes once more, they will return here, where the line between life and its end is as thin as the surface of the Mara. We have spent a great deal of time on the sun-drenched savannas of Africa, where grand encounters between trunks and horns unfold openly beneath the sun. This continent still harbors other giants in darker, higher and wetter hidden corners. In these parts, the arena is not always a patch of dry grass. It might be the cloud-shrouded layers of a mountain peak, the churning rivers where teeth sharper than razors lie in wait, or even beneath the forest canopy where sunlight has never touched the ground. These giants do not require a summoned army to demonstrate their influence. They possess unique survival strategies and biological tools honed through high-stakes moments. Buckle up, because we are about to leave the familiarity of the brush to enter the territory of the silent rulers. The Virunga Mountains, situated on the border shared by Rwanda, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The elevation reaches more than 3,000 meters above sea level. The air here is so thin and biting that your lungs will likely plead for mercy. This is certainly not a place for the faint of heart. And in this misty realm, there lives an uncrowned king who possesses a silver-furred shoulder broad enough to carry the entire clan. The mountain gorilla. If the African elephant is the master of the open plains, then the mountain gorilla is the sovereign of the emerald strongholds. Scientifically speaking, we and they share up to 98% of the same DNA. Their digestive system acts as a massive cellulose processing plant, turning ordinary foliage into rippling bands of muscle. But this sheer bulk is not just for show. In the world of the mountain gorilla, size is the language of peace, as well as the final declaration of conflict. Their social structure revolves around an absolute monarchy. One silverback serves as the father, the leader, and the sole guardian. Yet power always draws those who wish to test it. The most intense confrontations often do not come from the outside, but from young princes who are itching for a fight to reclaim the throne. This clash of the titans begins not with fists, but with psychological maneuvering. The chest-beating behavior you often see in movies is not merely a display of hostility. The latest studies indicate that the sound conveys precise information regarding the body size and combat readiness of its owner. A wise silverback will listen to the frequency of those strikes and decide whether a full-scale engagement is worth the effort. But when the language of sound fails, physical force takes over. Unlike humans who strike with their knuckles, gorillas use their entire body weight to ram and employ jaws with a biting force stronger than a lion or a tiger to inflict serious injuries. Their most formidable asset is not their fist, but the pair of canines measuring 5 centimeters hidden behind those thick lips. A single bite to the shoulder or neck can end the journey of any rebel in the blink of an eye. The mountain gorilla is a perfect example of the balance between overwhelming strength and a gentle demeanor. They are peaceful giants until you cross that final boundary. But in the deep woods, they are not the only ones possessing formidable canine teeth. Moving away from the frigid peaks, we will descend to find a creature that looks as vibrant as an abstract painting, yet possesses a temperament like a storm bottled up in a nimble body. Have you ever heard of a primate that even a leopard would think twice about before engaging? Get ready, because we are about to meet the most colorful yet most intense inhabitant of the lowland tropical forests. If you imagine the tropical rainforest is merely a place for camouflage in dull greens and browns, then allow me to introduce you to the most unconventional rule breaker in evolutionary history, the mandrill. That face resembles a mischievous child who has just snuck into their mother's vanity and decided to try every vibrant shade all at once. But you are standing before the largest monkey on the planet and one of the most spirited creatures to ever roam this earth. The flamboyant colors of a male mandrill are not just for show. The brighter the red and the deeper the blue, the higher the levels of testosterone flowing through its veins. In other words, its face serves as a public biological progress report of its strength. An adult male mandrill can weigh as much as 35 kilograms or more, but their true might resides in the horde, vast legions of individuals. While most primates reside in small groups, mandrills can gather into super troops of up to 600 or even 1,000 individuals. Picture 1,000 of these small giants sweeping across the forest floor like a whirlwind of color. No serpent, no rodent, and certainly no other troop of primates would care to get in their way. This is not a casual stroll. It is a march of a highly organized army under the authority of the alpha male with the most brilliant face. However, the life of a mandrill king is not simply about nourishment and displays of power. Their most formidable adversary, the ghost of the jungle, the leopard, frequently lingers in the lower branches. The mandrill is one of the few primates that a leopard truly needs to think twice about. In a direct confrontation, a male mandrill can deliver life-altering blows with its powerful arms and grinder jaws. Their strategy is straightforward, yet highly effective, a complete counter-response. When a member of the troop is pursued, the largest males will form a protective circle and rush toward the challenger. The leopard typically chooses to withdraw into the shadows, leaving the kingdom to our spirited, colorful friend. The next giant we are about to meet does not use fangs or arm muscles for its defense. He has a completely different approach, a living crane capable of delivering strikes from an elevation of 5 meters that can certainly pack a punch. If you think that possessing a long neck is merely for reaching the tastiest leaves on the highest treetops, then you are only scratching the surface regarding the African giraffe. This 6-meter-tall giant that seems like a product of a mismatched assembly from spare parts, the legs of a track athlete, the body of a horse, and a neck as long as a construction crane. To send blood up to a brain located more than 2 meters away from the heart, the African giraffe possesses the most powerful hydraulic pumping system in the animal kingdom. Their heart weighs up to 11 kilograms and generates blood pressure twice as high as a human's. Despite that incredibly long neck, they have exactly 7 cervical vertebrae, precisely the same number of neck bones as you have. The only thing is, each of their vertebrae is more than 25 centimeters long. But this neck is not just for show or for enjoying a meal. When the mating season arrives and tensions between males begin to rise, that neck transforms into a formidable asset in a ritualized engagement known as necking. With a length of more than 2 meters, the neck acts as a massive lever, swinging a head weighing dozens of kilograms into a target at breathtaking speeds. Those small horns on their heads, called ossicones, are actually solid bony masses covered in skin. When they collide, the sound produced can be heard from a distance of hundreds of meters. It is no ordinary headbutt. It is a strike with enough force to fracture ribs, cause internal injuries, or even leave an opponent unconscious on the spot as they throw their weight around. The dramatic part is that this encounter looks like a slow yet high-stakes dance. They maneuver, dodge impacts, and seek an angle to deliver a decisive strike to the opponent's neck or legs. A defeated African giraffe may end up with a broken neck and collapse like a demolished tower. Victory on the Savanna is never permanent, but for the winner, the prize is the right to carry on the legacy of the tallest king. However, if you think that the neck is their only asset, just ask the hungry lions of the Etosha region who have tried to bite off more than they can chew. But nature always knows how to create intriguing contrasts. Leaving this lanky giant behind, we will lower our gaze a bit toward the shorter brush, where a shadow warrior is waiting. A creature with noble beauty, but the heart of a true samurai warrior, ready to pierce anyone who dares to test its pride. Meet the roan antelope, the 4th largest antelope on the continent. Do not mistake them for their sable antelope cousins with their glossy black coats. The roan antelope opts for a more rugged style with a dusty reddish-brown coat, but do not let that somewhat muted color play tricks on your eyes. Biologically speaking, this is a mass of muscle weighing nearly 300 kilograms. And their tools of the trade? Take a look at those backward curving horns. They are not quite as long as blades, but they are thick and sturdy, perfect for hooking, prodding, and breaking the resolve of anyone who does not know their place. In the world of the roan antelope, leniency is a rare luxury. They are well known among scientists as one of the most high-spirited antelope species. And this is when the true engagement begins. These gladiators drop to their knees, turning their center of gravity into a steady anchor. In this posture, they can utilize the full strength of their neck and shoulder muscles to deliver sideways thrusts or upward hooks from below. Those horns become like iron hooks. The encounter is not a race for speed, but rather a contest of stamina and endurance. They lock horns, pushing back and forth as swirling dust clouds the vision. These confrontations are so intense that sometimes both become too worn out to stand, yet neither will give in first. The victor takes it all: the territory, the water source, and a herd to protect. But glory on the Savanna always comes with a heavy weight of responsibility. As the leader, this male is now the shield for the entire group. And if the roan antelope is a muscle pickup truck, Then the common eland is an Abrams-heavy tank, steadily advancing into the arena. An adult male can weigh up to 1 ton of pure brawn and muscle. Do you hear that sound? That is the sound of their tendons sliding over the sesamoid bones. The louder the click, the larger the animal, and that is how they get the point across to potential challengers without even needing to utter a growl. When these two 1-ton giants decide to resolve a disagreement, it is not a quick engagement, but rather a contest of endurance. They utilize their signature spiral horns like mechanical levers. The objective is not to pierce the other party, since their neck skin is thick enough to withstand standard impacts, but rather to twist the neck of the challenger. Those muscle masses in the neck are the key to success. A victorious common eland is one with the ability to stand its ground and use neck strength to press the challenger's head toward the earth or twist it to the side. When a 1-ton fellow loses his balance, gravity takes care of the rest. The strength of the common eland is a blend of weight and composure. But in Africa, size does not always go hand in hand with having 4 feet on the ground. Let's meet another giant, one who has traded the sky to rule the earth with a pair of legs that can easily knock the wind out of even a seasoned warrior. He has no horns, no long canines, but possesses an ancient tool that can reach through even the thickest hide. If you think birds are fragile creatures that chirp in the garden, then this fellow will certainly make you think twice. You are looking at the largest, heaviest, and most unconventional bird on the planet. Scientifically speaking, the African ostrich is a living legacy from the era of theropod dinosaurs. While most bird species possess 4 toes, the African ostrich has evolved to have only 2 toes to optimize its speed. It does not simply run, it flies across the ground at a velocity of 70 kilometers per hour. A single stride can reach as far as 5 meters. In other words, if this fellow decides to pursue you, unless you are in a pickup truck with your foot to the floor, you might be out of luck. But speed is merely a way for it to reach its dinner or make a quick exit. The real power lies in what scientists refer to as the decisive strike. Unlike horses that kick backward, the African ostrich kicks forward and downward. At the tip of its largest toe is a claw measuring 10 centimeters, as sharp and sturdy as a steel dagger. It is a direct, forceful, and extremely precise maneuver. And here is an interesting fact for those who believe in tall tales. No, they never bury their heads in the sand when feeling uneasy. That is a misunderstanding regarding their nest-tending behavior. If an African ostrich lowers its head to the ground, it is because it is lingering or attempting to camouflage its massive frame as a dry bush. But once it stands tall and reveals its sturdy beak, that is when a challenger should watch their step. But the trials on the Savanna never simply stop at kicks. As the sun sets and the temperature drops, other giants begin to emerge. If the African ostrich is the marathon runner of the Savanna, then allow me to introduce you to a true gentleman, one who has declined excessive running and decided that he will still take wing despite a substantial midsection, the Cory bustard. This is the heaviest flying bird in Africa and one of the world's primary contenders for the title of Gravity Challenger. An adult male can weigh as much as 19 kilograms. For a creature that needs to lift off, 19 kilograms is essentially a grounded sentence. But the Cory bustard is a calculating strategist. Instead of expending energy on unnecessary flights, he spends his day patrolling his territory like a true local sheriff. This is when the real engagement begins, a contest of pageantry. In the world of the Cory bustard, size is the name of the game. Why go through the trouble of physical conflict when you can intimidate a rival simply by appearing larger and more majestic? And take a look at his foraging style. The Cory bustard is a relentless, opportunistic seeker of sustenance. He walks with composure, and anything that moves beneath his feet, from grasshoppers and lizards to venomous serpents, can become his midday meal. He only needs one precise strike with immense force to settle the matter with his target. They frequently follow behind large mammals, such as the African elephant or zebras, taking advantage of how these giants disturb insects so they can easily harvest them. It is a rather clever strategy. Let the other giants do the heavy lifting while he simply enjoys the benefits. However, as the sun fades and the golden light of the savanna gives way to deep shadows, the avian kingdom sees a change in leadership. The next ruler has no need for colorful displays. He conceals himself in the darkness with eyes capable of looking right through a challenger's soul. As the sun dips below the horizon, the rules of the survival game in Africa change completely. Meet Verreaux's eagle owl, the largest owl on the continent and one of the most imposing hunters nature has ever crafted in the shadows. With a wingspan reaching nearly 1.5 meters and a height comparable to a small child, this is not the charming owl you see in fairy tales. This is a stealth aircraft armed to the teeth for the nighttime hunt. And here is the most intriguing part, an identifying feature that is both captivating and spine-tingling. Bright pink eyelids. Yes, you heard that right. Verreaux's eagle owl is the only owl in the world possessing brilliant pink eyelids. In their world, pink is the color of the one who calls the shots in the nocturnal hierarchy, serving as a final signal before the light fades. Microscopic serrations on the wing feathers of Verreaux's eagle owl completely eliminate air noise. It does not simply fly, it drifts through the darkness, staying under the radar. For the target below, perhaps a hedgehog or even a small primate, the conclusion does not arrive with a roar, but with absolute silence. This nocturnal giant is a perfect blend of eccentric beauty and immense strength. But as the mist begins to clear and the first light of dawn touches the waters of the great rivers, we must leave the sky for another realm. Welcome to the kingdom of the Nile monitor, the largest lizard in Africa and one of the most bothersome opportunists you will ever encounter. The Nile monitor is a rule breaker, a true rogue with a set of survival skills that are astonishingly diverse. An adult can reach up to 2.2 meters in length, but do not let its appearance, which seems more slender than a crocodile, pull the wool over your eyes. This is a versatile machine. It can swim like a fish, climb like a cat, and run on land with a velocity that will leave you in awe. The Nile monitor possesses an incredibly sophisticated chemical navigation system. The forked tongue collects scent molecules and delivers them to the Jacobson's organ on the roof of the mouth. It can scent a crocodile egg nest situated deep beneath the sand from a distance of dozens of meters. It is a living radar detector beneath a layer of armored scales. The persistence of the Nile monitor makes it one of the most successful creatures in Africa. It consumes everything, from scavenged remains and insects to birds and serpents. It is the embodiment of versatility, forceful when necessary, but always prioritizing cleverness. A giant that does not require tons of muscle to rule, but only needs perseverance and a tail with the striking force of a heavyweight boxer. But if you think this lizard is already the pinnacle of riverside eccentricities, then get ready for a real surprise. He has no scales and no claws, but he possesses a mouth so wide it can encompass an entire bird and a spirited temperament that can make even reptiles think twice. African bullfrog. This guy will give you a run for your money and make you rethink your entire biological perspective. With a weight that can exceed 1.4 kilograms and a size comparable to a large dinner plate, we are talking about a true giant in the amphibian world. But size is not the most impressive part of the story. Scientifically, the African bullfrog lacks teeth in the traditional sense, but they possess what are called odontodes, sharp, bony projections from the lower jaw that look like two massive fangs. Paired with a staggering bite force, this mouth is not merely for nourishment. It is a genuine leather-wrapped crusher. Their life philosophy is quite simple. If it fits in the mouth, it is a meal. If it does not fit, try to make it fit anyway. The menu for the African bullfrog is a list of high-stakes encounters: mice, small birds, other frogs, and even the most formidable scorpions. They are elite ambush seekers of sustenance. For much of the year, they stay deep beneath the earth, wrapping themselves in a cocoon of parched skin to weather the extended dry season, a state referred to as estivation. But when the first drops of rain touch the ground, the beast stirs with a hunger that is hard to quench. Yet, the true challenge for the African bullfrog is not just about satisfying its appetite. It is the mission of some of the most dedicated fathers in the natural world. The journey through the realm of these other giants has reached the end of the road, but its echoes continue to resonate across Africa. In this landscape, strength is not found merely in tons of brawn or the figures on a scale. It resides in the courage to face one's destiny. Each creature we have met serves as a chapter in the grand epic of survival. Some opt for vibrant pageantry, while others choose a path of absolute stillness. But whatever the strategy, the ultimate goal is keeping the flame of life burning bright in this demanding environment. The giant's fight is not simply about locking horns or bearing marks of past challenges. It is the dance of evolution, where each giant stands as a testament to nature's boundless creativity. In Africa, being of great stature is an advantage, but to be a cut above the rest and become a legend, you need something more. The cycle continues, and this kingdom will forever belong to those who step up to the plate to protect their own throne. We have observed the titans showcase their might, from the neck swinging of the African giraffe to the crushing jaws of the African bullfrog. But let me tell you a secret. Their primary challenge is not a hungry lion or a rival silverback looking for a confrontation. That influence is quieter, more unyielding, and it is actually us. Taking a look at this list of contenders provides a rather concerning big picture. The black rhino and martial eagle are currently on the ropes, listed as critically endangered and endangered. Meanwhile, even the monarch, the African elephant, is seeing its territory slip away due to the expansion of farms and relentless poaching for ivory. But Africa is not solely defined by hardships. It also possesses conservation warriors who refuse to throw in the towel. We are witnessing the wonders of science. The mountain gorilla has been moved from critically endangered to endangered due to the rigorous protection efforts in the Virunga region. This is clear evidence that when people set their minds to it, these titans can be granted a second chance. Modern solutions like geofencing technology are assisting in smoothing over interactions between African elephants and residents. Within Kruger National Park, the anti-poaching units are utilizing artificial intelligence to stay one step ahead by predicting the paths of intruders. Furthermore, relocation efforts are bringing species such as the rhino and common eland back to landscapes where they have been absent for decades. The rise of sustainable ecotourism is also helping former hunters turn over a new leaf as guardians of the wilderness. Local communities now realize that a living lion holds far more value than one that has met its end. The struggle of these titans will only carry on if we are compassionate enough to leave them a place to call home. Preservation is not about freezing nature in time, but rather learning how to share this planet effectively. Bear in mind that if these giants should disappear, our world would become incredibly empty and small. The final chapter is currently in your hands. The survival map of Africa's giants is not a destiny already set in stone. It is being written at this very moment through the understanding and collective actions of both you and me. This is the most magnificent legacy nature has ever bestowed upon us. This is the final frontier for us to step up to the plate and safeguard their 1,000-pound footsteps. And if you have ever embarked on a journey through the wild on any continent, do not hesitate to share your insights and experiences in the comments section below. Those stories will serve as inspiration and motivation for the protection of the natural world and precious creatures, while preserving the ecosystem for the generations yet to come. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell to stay in the loop for our upcoming marvelous adventures.